Hello students, today we will be discussing the topic classification of crude drug from your syllabus. Myself, Dr. Vasundhara Saxena from Ram-Eesh will explain the topic classification of crude drug and why it is need so. So the topics that would be covering are introduction, organized drug, unorganized drug, classification of crude drugs and conclusions. So here we starts with the introduction, that is the flora and fauna of Mother Earth has a great diversity. That means flora and fauna means the environment that is surrounding us. Flora and fauna, the plants, the animals, the atmosphere, the air that we breathe in, that is the altogether the environment, that is the surrounding presence of us is the flora and fauna of Mother Earth. The number of plant species divided in about 300 families and 10,500 genera are supposed to be about 2 to 2.5 lakhs. That means total herbal drugs that we are going to study or that are important for us are about 2 to 2.5 lakhs. So seeing this figure, does you think it is simple to remember and mug up all these plants and its importance? So the need of classification is here. For example, if we are talking about a student in a diploma first year, that means the subjects that it would be learning will be same for all the 60 students. So rather than going through individual student, we will say it, diploma first year students are studying these 5 subjects. So it is making our work simple and easy to learn. Drugs from animal and mineral origin have also been used since the beginning, and even today many such drugs are important and used as commercial products. After talking about plants, we have to learn about animals and minerals too, because they are also the sources of our drugs. So leaving behind them is not the chance, so we have to study those also. So classification is required to simplify or to ease our work. Crude drugs can be regarded as a substance either used directly or indirectly as a drug which have not been changed or modified in its chemical composition. For example, if we talk about the tulsi leaves that we use in our tea, if we pluck the leaves and put it in the tea at the time of boiling, then we are using the drug in its crude form, that is the intact form. जैसे कि plant से हमने leaves को pluck किया, we are using in the same way in our preparation. अब अगर यहीं पर अगर हम उसके chemical constituents या phytoconstituents को extract करके हम उन constituents को use करते हैं, then it will be processed form. So when we are using the drug as it is obtained from the plant, animal or mineral, then it is termed as crude drug. जैसे मिली है वैसे ही हम उसको use कर रहे हैं. So coming to the next, that is types of crude drug. Basically speaking, the crude drugs are differentiated as organized drug and unorganized drug. We are talking about on the cellular level. Here we are talking about the cellular level. So organized drugs are those which have a well-defined structure, and unorganized are those which does not have a well-defined anatomical structure. Let's see it in detail. Organized drugs. Organized drug consists of cellular organization in the form of anatomical feature. Microscopical and anatomical studies are prominent for such crude drugs. These can be used directly in the medicine or can be used by modifying or by extracting the active ingredient from it. The simple medicines prepared from these drugs are herbal teas, extracts, tinctures, etc. Whereas on the other hand, about unorganized drug, the unorganized drug do not have this morphological or anatomical organization as such. For example, इसको अब थोड़ा सा डीप में समझते हैं. जैसे कि लीफ has a well defined structure, and on the other hand, if we talk about a fruit, you can say fruit with pulp like chiku, or you can say guava, that is amrud. इट डजेंट हैव अ वेल डिफाइंड स्ट्रक्चर. कहाँ क्या प्रेजेंट होगा, सीड की पोजीशन डिफाइंड नहीं होती या पल्प का पोजीशन डिफाइंड नहीं होता. तो जिनका सेलुलर स्ट्रक्चर पे पोजीशंस डिफाइंड नहीं है, दोज आर प्लेस्ड अंडर अनऑर्गेनाइज्ड ड्रग. These are the products which come directly in the market, but their ultimate source remains the plant, animals or minerals. Microscopical studies are not required for such crude drugs, and these includes products like plant exudates, gums, oleogums, etc. Need for the classification. In order to pursue or to follow the study of the individual drug, one must adopt some particular sequence of arrangement, and this is inferred to a system of classification of drugs. To make our work easy, I have already explained you, to make our work easy, we are adopting a particular sequence, or you can say the arrangement, in such a way that it is simple, easy to use, and free from confusion and ambiguities. Because of their wide distribution, each arrangement of classification has its own merits and demerits, but for the purpose of study, the drugs are classified. So according to the classification, we will be dealing in detail with alphabetical classification, taxonomical classification, morphological classification, pharmacological classification, chemical classification, chemotaxonomical classification, serotaxonomical classification. So we will be dealing it one by one in detail. So here we start with alphabetical classification and the way the drugs are, the common features that it possesses, and we are keeping the drug as it is. So what is alphabetical classification? Alphabetical classification is the simplest way of classification of any disconnected items. Crude drugs are arranged in alphabetical order of their Latin and English names, common names that is, or sometimes local language names, that is vernacular name. Here 2 points you have to remember, that is English common name is common names, or you can say synonyms, जो कि आप आगे सिलेबस में पढ़ोगे ये 2 वर्ड. और वर्नाकुलर नेम्स क्या होता है, जो कि लोकल लैंग्वेज में उसको कहा जाता है. जैसे कि प्याज को हम कॉमनली प्याज कहते हैं, बट अगर इसी को अगर हम देखा जाए तो कहीं पर इसको कांधा बोलते हैं, कहीं पर इसको कुछ और बोलते हैं. तो जो कांधा है दैट इज़ अ वर्नाकुलर नेम एंड प्याज इज़ अ कॉमन नेम. Some of the pharmacopoeias, dictionaries and references books which classify crude drugs according to this system are as follows. That is Indian Pharmacopoeia, British Herbal Pharmacopoeia, United States Pharmacopoeia, National Formulary, British Pharmaceutical Codex, European Pharmacopoeia. In European Pharmacopoeia, these are arranged according to the names in Latin, where in United States and British it is arranged in English. So these are some of the standard books in which the drugs are classified according to the alphabetical order. For example, A for acacia, B for benzoin, C for cinchona, D for dill, and so on. We have till Z that drugs are classified according to alphabets. Similarly, as you have seen your dictionary कि A के सारे वर्ड्स आपको A सेक्शन में मिलेंगे, B के सारे वर्ड्स आपको B सेक्शन में मिलेंगे. तो यहाँ वर्ड्स नहीं, यहाँ हमें ड्रग्स की बात करनी है कि A से जितनी भी ड्रग्स स्टार्ट होती हैं कॉमन नेम में, वो हमें सारी A सेक्शन में मिलेंगी. So what are the merits and demerits of this classification? It is easy and quick to use. There is no repetition of entries and is devoid of confusion. In this system, location, tracing and addition of drug entries is easy. These are the merits, that is why we are using this type of classification. And if we talk about the demerits, then there is no relationship between previous and successive drug entries. That is, if we say that A is for acacia and A is for amla, but both the drugs are of different origin. One is a gum and one is a fruit. So there is no successive relationship between these drugs. That if we say कि A की कैटेगरी में जो हमने प्लेस किए हैं वो सारे सेम कैटेगरी के हैं, या B की कैटेगरी में जो प्लेस किए हैं वो सारे B के हैं, तो ऐसा नहीं है, इसलिए ये इसका डीमेरिट है. Now coming to the next point, that is taxonomical classification. And what is taxonomical classification? All the plants possesses different characters of morphological, microscopical, chemical, embryological, serological and genetics. That is, every plant possesses different structure. In this classification, the crude drugs are classified according to kingdom, subkingdom, division, class, order, family, genes and species. That is, according to the development we are classifying it. That is कि plant kingdom में क्या होगा, सब kingdom उसका कौन सा होगा, division क्या होगी, class क्या होगा. We will see it in detail. What is a class? That is कि अगर angiosperm की बात की जाए तो angiosperm क्या है? Angiosperm are plants that produces flowers and gymnosperms which do not produces. तो class एक हमारे categorize हो गए कि इनमें flowers आते हैं, इनमें flowers नहीं आते हैं. तो अगर वो angiosperm term use किया है, that means these plants produces flowers. सब class उसी का dicotyledon है या monocotyledon. ये दो पढ़े हैं आपने स्टार्टिंग की क्लासेस में पढ़ते हैं ये हम लोग 6th 7th 8th तक. तो dicotyledon मतलब दो cotyledons हैं और monocotyledon मतलब उसका जो सीड है उसमें सिंगल cotyledon है. तो उसकी सब क्लास क्या हुआ कि वो dicotyledon है कि monocotyledon है. सुपर ऑर्डर, a group related plant families classified in the order in which they are thought to have developed their differences from a common ancestor. There are 6 superorders in the dicotyledon, that is Manglioidae, Hamelidae, Caryophyllid, Denylid, Rosidae, Asteridae, and 4 superorders in the monocotyledons are Acylimatidae, Comylidae, Aricidae and Lilidae. The names of the superorders end in IDAE, that is Idae. Order. Each superorder is further divided into several orders. The name of the orders and ends in ALES. Now coming to the next point, that is family. Each order is divided into family. जैसे कहते हैं ना ये इस फैमिली से बिलोंग करता है, मतलब उस फैमिली की सारी प्रॉपर्टीज़ उस प्लांट के अंदर होगी. तो these are the plants with many botanical features in common and are the highest classification normally used. At this level, the similarity between the plant is often easily recognizable by the layman, that is a common man. जिसको कुछ भी नहीं पता कि ये प्लांट क्या है क्या नहीं है, तो वो ईजिली इस तरीके से अपने ड्रग को आइडेंटिफाई कर सकता है. Subfamily. The family may be further divided into a number of subfamilies which group together plant within the family and that have some significant botanical differences. Tribe. A further division of plant within a family based on a smaller botanical differences, but still usually comprising many different plants. The names of tribes and in EAE. Subtribe. A further division based on even smaller botanical differences, often only recognizable to botanists. The names of the subtribes end in INAE. Genus. This is the part of the plant name that is most familiar. The normal name that you give a plant. Paperwort, that is poppy, and so on. The plant in the genus are often easily recognizable as belong to the same group. Species. This is the level that defines an individual plant. So species is the last. In further studies that you can see, तो सबसे पहले हमारा क्या आता है डोमेन, ठीक है, दैट इज़ प्लांट किंगडम और एनिमल किंगडम. देन फाइलम, उसके सब क्लास क्या है, फिर फाइलम का सब क्लास होता है, फिर ऑर्डर, जीनस एंड स्पीशीज. वी आर मूविंग अपवर्ड. On the other hand, if you see, if we talk about ostrich and human, then these are the domain and the categories which it belongs. What are the merits and demerits of this function, of this classification? Taxonomical classification is helpful for studying evolutionary development, क्योंकि एक particular type के plants उस तरीके से develop करेंगे, तो इसलिए evolutionary development हमारे लिए आसान होता है पढ़ना और समझना. और demerit क्या है? This system is also does not correlate in between the chemical constitution and the biological activity of the drug. इफ वी कैन से अगर ये इस प्लांट किंगडम की ड्रग है तो ज़रूरी नहीं कि उस प्लांट किंगडम की सारी ड्रग्स इस तरीके से ही एक्ट करें. फॉर एग्जांपल इफ वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट तुलसी, कॉमन एग्जांपल है. तुलसी को अगर हमने बोला कि इसका किंगडम या इसकी फैमिली लेबिएटी है, तो ये ज़रूरी नहीं है कि जो दूसरे प्लांट अगर लेबिएटी फैमिली के हैं तो उसकी प्रॉपर्टीज़ भी वही तुलसी से मैच करें. फार्माकोलॉजिकली एंड केमिकली ये दो पैरामीटर्स पे मैच नहीं करती हैं. Third one is morphological classification. And what is morphological classification? In this system, the drugs are arranged according to the morphological or external characters of the plant parts or animal parts, that is, which part of the plant is used as drug. For example, leaves. जैसे कि काफ़ी plants हम जिसकी सिर्फ leaves use करते हैं, या काफ़ी plants हैं जिनकी हम roots use करते हैं. तो leaves, roots, flowers, bark, branches, तो ये सारा क्या है, morphological classification के base पर होता है. The drugs obtained from the direct parts of the plant and containing cellular tissues are called as organized drugs. जैसे कि अभी मैंने लास्ट बताया था. और जो एक पर्टिकुलर नहीं होता, हमें सिर्फ उसके एक्सट्रैक्ट आउट होता है जिसका कोई मॉर्फोलॉजिकल कैरेक्टर नहीं होता, वो अनऑर्गेनाइज्ड ड्रग होता है. सो एग्जाम्पल्स ऑफ ऑर्गेनाइज्ड ड्रग जैसे कि वुड, तो ये जो मॉर्फोलॉजिकली जैसे हमने वुड, लीव्स, बार्क, ये सब क्या है, ऑर्गेनाइज्ड हैं क्योंकि इनका सेलुलर स्ट्रक्चर हमें डिफाइंड है. ये ऑलरेडी हम डिस्कस कर चुके हैं, तो ये आपके एग्जांपल्स हैं, प्लीज़ गो थ्रू इट कि वुड्स में कौन कौन सी ड्रग्स हैं, लीव्स में कौन कौन सी हैं, बार्क्स में कौन कौन सी हैं. एंड अनऑर्गेनाइज्ड में जैसे किया जाता है ड्राइड लेटेक्स, ड्राइड जूस, ड्राइड एक्सट्रैक्ट, वैक्सेस, गम्स, रेजन्स, वॉलेटाइल ऑयल, एनिमल प्रोडक्ट, फॉसल ऑर्गेनिज्म एंड मिनरल्स. तो ये सारा अनऑर्गेनाइज्ड है जो कि मिल तो हमें उससे रहा है बट उसका स्ट्रक्चर डिफाइंड नहीं है. So merits and demerits, talking about the merits and demerits. Morphological classification is more helpful to identify and detect the adulteration. This system of classification is more convenient for practical studies, especially when the chemical nature of the drug is not clearly understood. And demerits again कि हम pharmacological level और उसका केमिकल लेवल पे हम उसको डिफ्रेंशिएट नहीं कर सकते हैं. कि अगर हमने कहा कि ये बार्क की ड्रग है तो जनरली अगर ये बार्क है तो ज़रूरी नहीं कि जो दूसरी बार्क भी है वो भी एंटीपायरेटिक हो या एंटी कन्वल्सेंट हो या एंटीटसिव्स हो. तो इसलिए मॉर्फोलॉजिकली हम उसका फार्माकोलॉजिकल पे कुछ नहीं बोल सकते, इसलिए इसके डीमेरिट हैं कि हम फाइटोकेमिकली और फार्माकोलॉजिकली हम उन ड्रग के बारे में कुछ नहीं कह सकते. सो कमिंग टू द नेक्स्ट इज फार्माकोलॉजिकल क्लासिफिकेशन. क्योंकि ये दोनों डीमेरिट्स, मतलब ये फार्माकोलॉजिकल क्लासिफिकेशन का डीमेरिट हमारा पिछले लास्ट दो क्लासिफिकेशन हम देखते आ रहे हैं, तो इसलिए अब हम पढ़ते हैं फार्माकोलॉजिकल क्लासिफिकेशन. एंड इन फार्माकोलॉजिकल क्लासिफिकेशन, ग्रुपिंग ऑफ ड्रग अकॉर्डिंग टू द फार्माकोलॉजिकल एक्शन और ऑफ मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंट or the therapeutic use is termed as pharmacological or therapeutic classification of drug. This classification is more relevant and is mostly a followed method. Why? क्योंकि हमें ये पता है कि अगर ये हमने बोला कि एंटीपायरेटिक ड्रग्स हैं, दैट मीन्स दीज कैन बी यूज टू रिड्यूस द टेम्परेचर ऑफ द बॉडी. अब ये बोला कि ये एंटीटसिव्स हैं, मतलब मे बी वो डिफरेंट मॉर्फोलॉजिकली वो डिफरेंट हो, किंगडमली वो डिफरेंट हो, टैक्सोनॉमिकली वो डिफरेंट हो, बट उनकी जो प्रॉपर्टी, क्योंकि हमारे लिए बेसिकली यूजफुल क्या है, द प्रॉपर्टी और यू कैन से द फाइटोकॉन्स्टेंट. तो इन बेसिस पे अगर हमारी ड्रग्स क्लासीफाइड हैं तो इट विल बी ईजी फॉर अस टू रिकॉग्नाइज कि वेदर द ड्रग्स आर एंटीपायरेटिक, वेदर द ड्रग्स आर एंटीटसिव्स और नॉट. For example, drugs like digitalis, squill and stropanthus having cardiotonic actions. ये squill भी अलग है, squill में fruit यूज़ होता है, digitalis में leaf यूज़ होती है, stropanthus में roots यूज़ होती हैं. तो morphologically different है, but we have placed into a cardiotonic drugs. That means which are used against cardiotonic, या जिसमें cardiac property को enhance करने की property होती है. So irrespective of the parts of the used और फाइलोजेनेटिक रिलेशनशिप, मतलब टेक्सोनॉमिकली वो नहीं है और मॉर्फोलॉजिकली वो नहीं है, बट फार्माकोलॉजिकली वो ये हमें पता है कि वो किस लिए इम्पॉर्टेंट है. फॉर एग्जांपल ड्रग्स एक्टिंग ऑन जीआईटी, जीआईटी में बिटर एक्ट करेंगे, कार्बोनेटिव एक्ट करेंगे, इमेटिक, एंटी एमेबिक, लेक्सेटिव, पर्गेटिव, कैथार्टिक. सो ये एक जीआईटी ड्रग्स हो गई हैं. मेरिट्स, दिस सिस्टम ऑफ क्लासिफिकेशन कैन बी यूज्ड फॉर सजेस्टिंग सब्स्टिट्यूट्स ऑफ ड्रग्स. जैसे कि अगर एंटीपायरेटिक ड्रग बोला, अगर ये ड्रग काम नहीं कर रही है तो यू कैन ट्राई दी अदर ड्रग. तो ये हमारा सिस्टम सजेस्टिंग करने के लिए आसान हो जाता है. डीमेरिट फिर क्या है, द ड्रग्स हैविंग डिफरेंट एक्शन ऑन द बॉडी गेट क्लासिफाइड सेपरेटली इन मोर देन वन ग्रुप that causes ambiguity and confusion. Confusion बहुत होता है क्योंकि इसमें variations बहुत हैं. अगर antipyretic drug है तो उसमें आपस में variations बहुत हैं. Cinchona is anti-malarial drug because of presence of quinine, but can be put under the group of drug affecting heart because of anti-arrhythmic action also of quinine. तो एक ही ड्रग में एंटी अरिथमिक भी है और एंटी मलेरियल भी है, इसलिए इसका डीमेरिट्स है. लास्ट इज केमिकल क्लासिफिकेशन in which we will be placing our drugs according to the chemical that is present. Depending upon the active constituents, the crude drugs are classified. The plants contain various constituents in them like alkaloids, glycosides, tannins, carbohydrates, saponins, etc. And irrespective of the morphological, taxonomical, the drugs are similar with similar chemical constituents are grouped into the same group. फॉर एग्जाम्पल्स एल्कलॉइड्स, तो सारे ड्रग्स जिनमें एल्कलॉइड्स इंपॉर्टेंट है हम उसको एक कैटेगरी में प्लेस करेंगे. ग्लाइकोसाइड्स मतलब ये सब में ग्लाइकोसाइड्स प्रेजेंट्स हैं. कार्बोहाइड्रेट्स, सो दीज आर द एग्जाम्पल्स ऑफ फाइटोकॉन्स्टिट्यूएंट्स. मेरिट्स, इट इज़ अ पॉपुलर अप्रोच फॉर फाइटोकेमिकल स्टडीज़ बिकॉज हमारे लिए केमिकल ही इंपॉर्टेंट है, तो फाइटोकेमिकल स्टडीज़ के लिए ये हमारे लिए इंपॉर्टेंट क्लासिफिकेशन है. बट डीमेरिट क्या है इसका? Ambiguity arises when the particular drug poses a number of compounds belonging to different groups of compounds. Chemotaxonomical, this is above your syllabus. You should also know chemotaxonomical classification. The system of classification relies on the chemical similarity of taxon. That is, it is based on the existence of relationship between the constituents in various plants. There are certain types of chemical constituents that characterize certain classes of plants. This gives birth to entirely a new concept of understanding the taxonomical status, relationship and the evolution of plant. Chemotaxonomy that utilizes chemical facts and characters. Example, tropane alkaloids generally occur among the number of solanaceae and thereby serving as a chemotaxonomic maker. Similarly, on the other secondary plant metabolites can serve as the basis of classification of crude drug. Merits, it is the latest system of classification that gives more scope for understanding the relationship between chemical constituents and their biosynthesis and their possible relation actions. Serotaxonomical classification is the last one that is beyond your syllabus, but you should know what it is. So serotaxonomical classification क्या होता है? Can be explained as a study about the application or the utility of serology in solving the taxonomical problem. Serology can be defined as the study of antigen-antibody reactions. Antigens are those substances which can stimulate the formation of antibody. Antibodies are highly specific protein molecule produced by plasma cells in the immune system. Protein are carriers of taxonomical information and commonly used as antigen in serotaxonomy. Example, it expresses the similarity and dissimilarity among different taxa and these data are helpful in taxonomy. So this is the merits and demerits, you can go through it and thank you. This is all about your presentation and so we will be now discussing another topic in next video. Thank you students, have a good day.